Hello, I'm Emma Pierce, and I'm delighted to be with you here today on Road to Space for the flight VV22, baptized Zoom In, because Vega C, the new European launcher, will take off for the second time with two exceptional satellites on board, designed by Airbus Defence and Space, Pleiades Neo 5 and 6. Together with Pleiades Neo 3 and 4, launched by Arainespace in 2021, they will form an Earth observation constellation providing very high-resolution images. As you know, this flight was postponed due to faulty equipment during the arming of the launcher. Well, for the moment, I can tell you all the lights on the monitoring panel are green, and Vega C should be takeoff as planned in about 15 minutes' time. And with me to provide a deeper insight into tonight's mission is David Iranzogreus.
Hello, Emma.
Good evening, David. You are the head of the Advanced Studies Department at Arainespace. And of course, Wendy Carrara, Senior Manager for Digital and European Institutions representing Airbus.
Hello, Emma.
Good evening. Well, we are counting on both of you to tell us everything you know about tonight's two-star passengers and to help us understand all the issues at stake during this mission. So without further ado, let's head over to the Jupiter control room where Stéphane Israel will currently in some seconds be coming up and talking to us about the present today's mission. Good evening, Sir Stéphane, and welcome to Road to Space.
Good evening, Emma.
I trust all is well at the Guyana Space Center today.
Yes, so we are now a few minutes before liftoff, and all the parameters are green. The satellites are ready, the launcher is ready, the weather is with us, so we are now very, very close to the launch.
Well, that's great news. So tell us why the mission is called Zoom In.
Zoom in, first because of the satellites. We have here with Pleiades Neo 5 and 5, two Earth observation satellites, which are really the most advanced Earth observation satellite possible. They have a resolution of 30 centimeters. They can be tasked up to 15 minutes before the acquisition, and then they will send back their images in the hour after the acquisition. So very updated satellite. So this is the first reason. And the second reason is that this mission is the first commercial mission of Vega C operated by Arainespace. It will be the first mission towards the sun-synchronous orbit. So we are going to watch very carefully our launcher tonight.
And what else can you tell us about the launch tonight?
So liftoff will occur at 10:47. We will lift off towards the north. We will have during 7 minutes the initiation of the 3 solid stages. After they will have done their mission, we will have the initiation of the AVUM upper stage. We will have the first separation of Pleiades Neo 6 after 56 minutes at more than 600 kilometers. And after 144 minutes, we will have the separation of Pleiades Neo 5. And then after 1 hour and 52 minutes, we will have the deorbitation of the AVUM upper stage with the last AVUM initiation.
Well, thank you very much, Stéphane, and good luck with everything. We will, of course, come back to you at the end of this mission. David, Stéphane Israel has just highlighted for us the key moments of the VV22 flight. Could you give us perhaps a more detailed presentation of the different stages of the flight? We should be having some images coming up on the screen any minute now.
Yes, so Vega C will be taking off from the Guyana Space Center, heading towards the north. It will lift off thanks to the P120 stage, which is the new stage developed for Vega C and also for Ariane 6. It will last for a bit more than 2 minutes. After that, the stage will separate, and the new Z40 stage, also an improved stage, will ignite and will last for a few minutes, followed by the third stage, the Zefiro 9. During the flight of the Zefiro 9, the fairing will separate, a new enlarged fairing that has been developed for Vega C with increased capacity. The launcher will then continue with the first ignition of the AVUM, the fourth stage, which is also a new higher capacity stage. And then the launcher will go into a coasting phase, will go around the Earth, and will reignite close to Australia to the first orbit, where the Pleiades Neo 6 satellite will separate. After that, there will be a new coasting phase, an adjustment of the orbit. And then the second passenger tonight, the Pleiades 5 spacecraft, will separate. And following that, there will be a last ignition of the stage for deorbiting and clearing up the orbit.
Well, thank you, David. During the progression of tonight's flight, we will, of course, be listening attentively to each of the announcements given out by the DDO. In less than 5 minutes from now, he should be announcing the start of the synchronized sequence. While we wait for this, I'd like us to take a closer look at the new Vega C launcher. David, this new light launcher vehicle completed its inaugural flight on the 13th of July, but tonight it will make its first commercial flight. How important is this?
Yes, it's a very important flight for us at Arainespace after the maiden flight, which was performed by ESA and Avio to qualify the launcher. This will be the first commercial flight for a launcher that has already many commercial and institutional customers lined up for the next few years. So this is the start of a long series of flights.
Well, to get a deeper insight into these two latest satellites that make up the Pleiades Neo constellation, now let's take a look at the next report. What about Pleiades Neo 5 and 6? Tonight, on board Vega C, Europe's newest launcher, are a special set of twins, Pleiades Neo 5 and 6. These two very high-resolution optical satellites will join the rest of the Pleiades Neo family. The first two of these satellites were launched last year by Arainespace. The Pleiades Neo constellation, which has been entirely designed and built by Airbus, is a combination of unique technologies enabling imaging of the Earth several times a day at 30-centimeter resolution.
This is a very important program for Airbus because it's paving the way to the growth of the future. It is bringing the 30-centimeter resolution to the constellation of Airbus. It is complementing SPOT, Pleiades, and our radar satellites. The 30-centimeter market is where you find most of the interest today for our Earth observation customers. This will help to generate more information, more revisit, more capacity at the high end of the market.
The Pleiades Neo constellation is a true innovation in the domain of Earth observation. Its 30-centimeter optical resolution offers unprecedented precision. The arrival of the final two satellites in the constellation will double the satellite image collection capacity and guarantee coverage of the entire Earth landmass 5 times per year.
It's a revolution because it's really a very big difference from our current sensors in terms of resolution.
With the Pleiades Neo satellites, Airbus intends to offer a wide range of possibilities, from aircraft and ship recognition to urban mapping, with an observation capacity of 2 million square kilometers per day. This optical imagery is increasingly attracting private players as well as government entities and startups. Thanks to their remarkable responsiveness and agility, Pleiades Neo satellites are also revolutionizing the field of maritime security, helping to track down illegal activities and even threats at sea. These two Pleiades Neo satellites will join their twins and the rest of the Airbus fleet in a couple of hours. Last July, Airbus engineers gave the green light to an optimized configuration that will use the advantage of the enlarged fairing of Vega C. The satellites are stacked on top of each other, linked only by a clamp band. Once in orbit, Pleiades Neo 5 and 6 will work hand in hand with the existing Pleiades constellation. So we just heard Stéphane Legrand talking about a revolution in terms of resolution. Wendy, you are a senior manager for digital and European institutions and also our expert tonight on Road to Space. How long has Airbus Defence and Space been working on the Pleiades Neo project?
So the Pleiades Neo project was born quite a while ago in 2016. And over the years, it's more than 1,000 people who've actually worked on the project.
Well, the Pleiades Neo constellation provides 30-centimeter high-resolution imagery of the Earth. Does there exist anything more efficient on the market today?
Actually, Pleiades Neo is the only constellation on the commercial market which combines such high resolution and that many revisits.
We are talking about the commercial and therefore civilian market, which is complementary to the military market. What is the legislation in this domain?
So,
Wendy?
of course, we abide by the French Space Operations Act, regulating authorizations and space licensing, as well as resolutions, for instance, of the United Nations. So with Pleiades Neo, we're actually getting closer to the needs of the military domain. Let's say that we complement existing military Earth observation capabilities. And to give you an idea of what we can see at 30 centimeters, we can see many objects such as cars, vessels, aircrafts, including specifics of their design to distinguish the different types of vehicles and count people even.
Well, all the moment all the lights on the board are green, Wendy and David, can you confirm that everything is going to schedule?
Attention pour la séquence finale lanceur.
Yeah, so everything is according to plan. We just heard the DDO announce.
H0 moins 4 minutes.
Yes, he just announced the start of the synchronized sequence.
Well, that's brilliant news. So the DDO has just confirmed the start of this synchronized sequence. Perhaps, David, you can explain to us what this means and what is the next step before liftoff.
Yeah, so at this point, all the launcher systems are ready for the mission. There is only some last operations that are performed automatically on the launcher, and the teams are fully focused on checking that all the launcher parameters are correct.
And we'll be monitoring this green panel closely. But just before Vega C lifts off, I'd like us to take a look at some images of the previous launches of the Pleiades Neo satellites, and of course the inaugural flight of this new rocket, which took place on July 13th. We have some CGI images coming up, we have some images coming up on the screen right now. They will be coming up in a minute. There, of course, before we go to that, obviously we have Vega C sitting there proudly. They're coming up in a minute, David, don't worry. There we go.
Yes, so this is the images from the previous Pleiades Neo flights. This is Pleiades Neo 3 assembled into the fairing, and then the fairing with a satellite on the launcher. And this was the first flight that took place in April of last year. And then these are the images of the second launch that took place a few months later. Here too, with integration inside the fairing and the integration of the entire upper composite on the launcher. And this also took place last year. And here we have the first launch of Vega C, which took place last July. This was the integration of the launcher, here the integration of the payload inside the fairing, and then the assembly and the liftoff of this initial flight of Vega C. These are the images from the onboard camera, the separation of the fairing, and then the separation of the spacecraft in a middle Earth orbit.
Thank you, David. Well, we are now over a minute away before Vega C will illuminate Kourou's evening sky. The DDO will, on the 1 minute marker, announce the final countdown. And then it is now our turn, David and Wendy, to sit back and enjoy the show.
À tous de DDO, attention pour moins 1 minute. Top, H0 moins 1 minute. À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage B120, décollage. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. Le pilotage est calme, la trajectoire est nominale. Acquisition de la télémesure par la station de Saint-Jean. paramètres bord sont nominaux.
How fantastic to see Vega C roaring across that equatorial sky. Yet again, one can't take one's eyes off her. It's so impressive, like a boil of light rumbling across the jungle. This is, of course, the second launch of Vega C, Europe's new launcher, and it has just successfully completed liftoff with Pleiades Neo 5 and 6 on board. These two satellites, designed by Airbus Defence and Space, are the 119th and 120th to lift off on a Vega launcher. And we will, of course, be following the different stages of this flight very closely. David, I turn to you. What are the main stages of the flight we should be looking out for in the next few minutes?
So in a little less than 1 minute, the P-130 first stage will have finished its job, and it will separate from the launcher. And then the second, this is the second flight of this P-120 stage, following the maiden flight, and it will also be used on Ariane 6 later on.
Début de queue de poussée du P-120.
Before the announcement of the separation of the P-120, just one word, sur this, a reaction. Wendy.
It's always amazing.
David.
Yes.
A word.
Yes, it's always incredible to see the liftoff.
There we go. So now we have...
Yes.
Séparation du P-120 et allumage du Zefiro 40.
There we have it. The separation of the P-120, which we see very clearly. We've saw it very clearly. Well, the DDO has just confirmed this separation of the first stage. So if I've understood correctly, the P-120, David, is just one of the new features of this new launcher, am I right?
Yes, so besides this first stage, the second and the fourth stages, so the Zefiro 40 and the Avum, have also been improved, increasing their propellant capacity and therefore the overall launcher performance. And also, very important, the fairing volume has been increased, allowing the launcher to accommodate larger satellites.
Well, Vega C is starting to lighten its weight and separate from its first stage, the P-120. What is the next step for the European launcher?
So in a few seconds, the Zefiro 40 stage will have finished also its job, and it will also separate from the launcher. And the third stage, the Set 9, will ignite and continue the mission.
Wendy, turning to you, you explained to us earlier the incredible hard work that Airbus Defence and Space teams have put into getting Pleiades Neo 5 and 6 airborne today and en route to their destination. But it's tonight that everything starts for them, isn't it?
Yes, you're entirely right. It's a relay between the teams involved in developing the satellite and those who will be operating the constellation. And first things first, in the next minutes and hours, we'll assess that both satellites are fully operational. This means checking telemetry, checking the successful deployment of the solar panels, and so on. It's an in-depth check to make sure everything is nominal. Once that's done, we'll turn on the camera, which was one of the most fragile instruments.
We see that there's a problem with the trajectory. David, can you tell us?
Yes. So there seems to be an issue with the launcher, yes. We stand by to get more information.
So could you tell us exactly? We can see on the graph in front of us, we can see that the trajectory, it seems to be going, maybe, is it going off course? Can you tell me? No.
Yes, indeed, the altitude, it seems to be lower than expected.
So the altitude, we're at 107 kilometers. Have you got any news from us from Kourou in your earpiece?
No, not for the time being.
So, in this type of situation, how would you interpret this? What might have happened? What could happen?
Okay, for the time being, we're waiting to get more precise information on.
Sorry, David, you were saying you're still waiting for news in your earpiece, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
In your long career, have you already had a problem such as this, perhaps?
Yes, indeed. There have been issues before, yes.
Okay. Well, it was a very spectacular liftoff. We can see the DDO, they seemed very focused and still concentrated, trying to work out the problem. We can still see, I don't have his name tonight, Mr. DDO. He's talking to... David, we're still waiting for news from you. I don't think you have anything to give us yet.
No, we do not have.
Well, all I can say is that if we do have to go off the air, we will, of course, be giving you an update on all our social networks, and we will be keeping you updated with what's happening. We can see, once again, everybody, we can see the VIPs standing around waiting to hear.
À tous de DDO, suite à accident lanceur, que tous les moyens restent activés pour une mise en configuration d'arrêt de la base de lancement.
What does that mean, David? What does the DDO just announced to us?
Yeah, so the DDO announced that there was indeed an issue with the launcher, and so everybody's standing by on the launch base to see what the exact situation is. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they certainly look very, very focused. What can you tell us about what your idea of the problem might be?
It's hard to tell for the time being without additional information. But what we saw is that yes, during the flight of the second stage, there seemed to be an issue with this stage.
Well, we might have to shut down our live sequence in a minute, but we're still waiting. We're still waiting news. We're still very hopeful. And we hope that the problem is going to be resolved. So can you describe to us, perhaps, David, we're going to perhaps try and get Stefan back and get him wired up, and then maybe he can explain to us what is the problem. Maybe, David, you could just explain to us what we're seeing up on the screen. Where are we here exactly? So
yeah,
this
is the Jupiter room. So obviously, people are waiting to get more information on the issue. And yes, indeed, we will have some.
Because all these people who are here, they're all the VIPs. They're a lot of representatives from all the different.
Yes,
groups.
behind the glass panels, yes, they're the.
That's what we call the fishbowl.
Yes, inside there are the people following the launch and all the authorities of the launch. Outside is the public and guests that are invited for the launch. Yes.
Well, we are still waiting for some news of the launcher, which has had a slight problem, but we will be. We're hopefully going to get some news on that shortly. I've just heard. Well, I've just heard, yes, that on Road to Space, that Stefan Israel is now going to come back and talk to us again and explain to us the problem. Yes.
So after the liftoff and and the nominal ignition of the P120C, which is the first stage of the Vega, and under pressure has been observed on the Zefiro 40, which is the second stage of the Vega. And after this under pressure, we have observed the deviation of the trajectory and a very strong anomaly. So unfortunately, we can say that the mission is lost. And I want to deeply apologize towards our customer, Pleiades Neo and Airbus Defence and Space, for this failure tonight. And we will now have to work with all our partners to better understand why the Zefiro 40 has not worked properly tonight, triggering the failure of the mission. So we are going now immediately with all the teams, with our prime avio and all the partners to study what has happened tonight. And I really apologize for this anomaly.
Thank you, Stéphane. Well,
Thank you very much.
Well, now, thank you, Stéphane, for those words. Well, now we know what the problem is. We are now going to leave you, and we will you will have all the information which will be up on our social networks. We will of Arainespace, and we will keep you updated with all the details of the launch. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us tonight, and we will be back very soon on Road to Space. We look forward to seeing and hearing from you again. Thank you.